that this series of talks is ending in this particular theme, because really we are all on a hero's journey, and certainly Jesus was one of those examples. The story of Jesus's birth and death and life is an example, but I'm going to tell you something. Jesus is the great example, but he's not the exception. And I think that that's where our way of seeing this story is a little different maybe than some other traditional settings. So today when we talk about this awesome story of this rebirth, this reawakening, it really is about remembering the truth of who we are. It is about remembering the divinity that we are, and remembering that we have an opportunity to express that as we are in our human walk in the world. And that really is what this story is about. It's a perfect message for Easter. And what I like about this message, I have a deep connection with the earth and with nature and with the beauty of my surroundings. You see, we've created a beautiful table here with all of the blooms and the blossoms and the bulb type flowers of the season. And for me, the reason I've chosen this image and the reason that this is here today is because this season brings us back to our innocence, to our newness, to the possibilities, which is really what the hero's journey is all about. It's the possibilities and the potential that are present with every single moment. So this time of the year, this cycle of the year, is an opportunity for us to intentionally remember the truth that there's always this new beginning possibility. And so we focus on baby chicks and baby ducks and baby lambs and bunnies and all the baby things that are so, some of us have new babies in our families, on the new birth, this incredible budding potential. And that incredible budding potential is within each and every one of us, for sure. And so these symbols and this time of the year, it all works together. This story of the rebirth, the story of Jesus and the resurrection is not the only story about this kind of thing. The rising of the phoenix is a similar story. The coming out of the ashes, the tomb experience that Glenda was talking about, the fire experience, the burning up of all the stuff that's getting in the way and the rising through it. We move through these things, you see. We don't get stuck in the tomb. We don't get consumed by the circumstances of our life experience. We don't get paralyzed by the stuff of life. And there's a lot of stuff of life going on. I know that you've got stuff of life going on. I've got stuff of life going on. And we have an invitation to remember that we can blossom through it, that we can find that innocence and that beauty and that naivete and that newness within whatever that grief might be bringing us, whatever that is. It is that divine dance between the darkness and the light. It is that promise that at the end of the tunnel there's a light. That's what we're talking about. And it's interesting to me that all of these stories that the different cultures and the different religious traditions have about this process of the tomb and the crucifixion, and then this resurrection or the rising from the flames or from the ashes after the embers get cool, coming out of that experience. What's interesting about that is they all have something in common. And you know what it is? Light, sun. It is this radiance. It is that juxtaposition of this darkness that we have to experience in our lives because we're human beings. We're all wearing people suits, so we're all going to get a chance to deal with our humanity however it shows up. Most of it comes uninvited, yes? And we get to respond to whatever that is. And then we've got this incredible opportunity to see the light within whatever that is, and then move through that. And this is what I know about myself. If I look back, I was kind of reviewing some of my own resurrection experiences. One of those is through a 12-step process, but those resurrection experiences. And this is the deal. When we create a new self, when we come alive in new ways, guess what? Just like the story of Jesus, sometimes people don't recognize us. And sometimes we don't even recognize ourselves. We have transformed in such a way that our old self is kind of like shedding the skin of a snake. Oh, I can't believe I'm talking about snakes. I'm so phobic. But it's like getting rid of that, moving through it, leaving it behind, blessing it. Like Linda would say, we bless it, accept it, and we move on. We bless it, we accept it, and we move on. And really, that's what this entire Easter story is about. It's like, yeah, stuff happens. Yeah, we're all going to go through some of these difficult experiences. And we have the capacity within us, each and every one of us. And if you think you don't, I'm here to remind you, yes, you do. You have the capacity to move through whatever is going on in your life experience. And by the way, part of the gift of coming to spiritual community, if you can't see that for yourself, there's someone that can help see that with you until you can see it for yourself with certainty and with strength. There's always a mirror for you. So if you're one of those people sitting out here today that thinks that you can't make it through whatever you're going through so that you can create a new version of yourself within the confusion of whatever's going on for you, the collapsing relationship or the body that's not functioning the way you want it to, the job that has disappeared, the aging process where we're trying to figure out what's this all about. Whatever it is for you. I see lots of heads nodding every time I say, somebody's identifying with something here. Yeah, see? So whatever it is for you, we can make it through that. We can blossom something brand new. And if we can't remember the truth of that possibility, somebody else who holds a consciousness similar to ours will help remember that for us until we get it, And so it's this symbol, you know, when Jesus arrives or is resurrected, he's not wearing, you know, an old dirty gray outfit. He's wearing the pureness, the lily. He's got that purity, that innocence, that newness about him, that radiance. He's always shown with his lifting up, right? And I got news for you. When we can create ourselves new, when we make this shift for ourselves, we do it for everybody else. We do it for everybody else. One bit of refinement in our own consciousness, in our own awareness, lifts everybody around us. We lift the energy of the world with our own consciousness. Our consciousness is the consciousness of the world. And so if we are rising up, so to speak, then we lift everybody else with us. That's what Jesus says. If I be lifted up, we will all be lifted up, you see? It's that energy, that vibration, that rapid vibration of consciousness. You see, we don't just do it for ourselves. When we create a new version of ourselves, guess what? We are contagious because we're helping create a new version of our experience of life. Everything around us starts to change. We triumph in our experience, and our triumph becomes the triumph of our families, of our relationships, of our country, of the world. That's the experience that we're here to bring. But you know what? And so I'm kind of focusing on this idea of what it takes to let go. Dennis, would you give me the next slide, please? Because a lot of us get pretty darn stuck and we forget because it looks dark. I know that I planted a rose garden last year, and in January my gardener came and cut everything down to about this big. Harsh pruning, sticks. I'm going, I don't know about that. I've never had a rose garden like that before, and I wasn't sure, but it reminded me many years ago when Glenda and I were in ministerial school. We came back, Easter happened to be in April that year, and when we came back from our experience, it was nighttime, and we went to actually our old spiritual community where there is a rose garden, and that first bloom of the roses was apparent. And I'm waiting now for the first bloom of the roses that I see the potential and possibility for in my rose garden. They're starting that process. It's a process, folks. We go through a process. So when all I saw were a bunch of sticks and thorns and thought there was very little hope, and think about your life experience. What are you going through? What are you going through? All of a sudden now, there's new growth, there are buds, and soon I will have the first bloom, which is always the most glorious. The most glorious. I've talked before here about this. Oh, you know what? I also planted an orchard last year. My husband allowed me to take over half of part of the front yard and plant an orchard. And so all winter, all we had were a bunch of sticks out there. Because most fruit-bearing trees are deciduous. Now, of course, not citrus. But most fruit-bearing trees are deciduous. They look like they're dead. But today, all of the fruit-bearing trees that were deciduous are covered with blossoms. Apricots, nectarines, plums, all kinds of things are going to be coming forth. It's that promise, you see. Now, when there's sticks, when we're in that stick experience of life, it doesn't feel like we're going to have a fruit at the end of summer. But we are, and that's the potential, that's the promise. I did some research, I don't know, I was talking like, 4 years ago or something. But this I kept in my memory. Do you know that in the fall, when leaves, when the, what do you call those things? The twigs, the branches, let go of their leaves, that it is that letting go of the leaf that stimulates the chemical reaction in that branch that then sets the scene and paves the way for the rebirth of the leaf and the budding in the spring. I find that fascinating. And you see, and then it's a process. But when they're gone, we think they're just plain gone. Nothing's happening. That's not true. We are in process. We're working on this rebirthing thing. And of course, the lotus. What I love about the lotus, the story of the lotus, in the Buddhist tradition, the lotus is a very big symbol. But the issue with the lotus is that its seed, do you know that a lotus seed can't work, it can't turn into a lotus until it's just been hammered? Hammered! If you want to grow a lotus in your backyard, you have to get a file and an emery board, and you got to whack that thing around a little bit to make it have the condition that allows it to then turn into a beautiful water lily. It doesn't just become a lily. It needs to be hammered. And what I know about my own life, there have been some experiences, some resurrection opportunities where I've been hammered. Well, in more ways than one. Since I'm a soul stepper, I have to own that one. Gotta own it. But it's true, we get hammered. I know those of you who are going through grief right now, those of you who are going through health challenges, those of you who are going through life changes with respect to your relationships or your employment or your finances, whatever it is, aging, you know, I sort of fit all those. I can say yes to all those things. When we start going through these things, you see, we're feeling like we're pretty hammered sometimes. And the truth is that when we remember the truth, which is that we've got this incredible divine assignment, we can get through that human stuff and blossom out the other end. And another thing about the lotus, just thought I'd share this little detail. Do you know that the lotus leaves are actually water repellent? And for me, this is a symbol of forgiveness. Nothing sticks. So as we're going through life, we need to be hammered so that we can come up through the mud. You see, lilies grow in the mud. The lotus and the lily grow in the deepest, darkest, ickiest, grossest possible spot. And sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? Like we're growing in the mud. Like we're growing in a really dark place. But when it comes through and it brings its leaves with us, do you know that those leaves the water doesn't, it just balls up and rolls off. This is a symbol of forgiveness. The Jesus story, forgive them for they know not what they do. That's what we're called to do. That's how we blossom forth in our innocence, in our newness, in our radiance, in our beauty. We see the light. We don't let it stick. We allow ourselves to move through the mud. We don't get stuck. See, the lily doesn't get stuck halfway up in the water. It comes all the way up to the light. To the light. That's what we're here to do. To the heart of the matter, which is this incredible radiance that we really are. So the invitation today. Remember, Jesus is a great example, but not the great exception. Not the great exception. We all have within us this potential to be that. You know, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Guess what, folks? You also are the light of the world, and you have the power, the potential, and the capacity to rebirth yourself through whatever experience you're going through today, create a new self, and when you can do that for yourself, you do it for the entire world. Thank you for listening.